Hey everybody, I'm Laura. Today I want to share one of my favorite meditations with you. This is a guided meditation for those times when things feel like they're sort of sitting on top of you. Maybe you've got a situation or a thought or an emotion, something over which you don't have any control, and yet it's occupying a big amount of your mental or emotional territory. So there's nothing we can do about it, but we can find ways to work skillfully with it. So for this meditation, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them, whatever feels best for you. And we'll start in any comfortable position. So just take a moment to center and ground yourself. Maybe look around the space where you are. Take a moment, feel the support beneath your seat or under your body if you're lying down. Feel the air around your skin. Feel any textures that your fingers can touch. And now, if you like, follow along. We're going to imagine ourselves within a really big space. This space is so big, it's actually infinite. There's no edges. If that makes you uncomfortable, you can imagine edges, but far away, so a really huge space. And there's you in the middle of it, a little small version of yourself, infinite or large amounts of space all around you. And that space can be any color. It could be bright or it could be darker. Take a moment and see if you can imagine that with your mind. Now, within that space, there are bubbles floating around. And each of those bubbles is some part of your personal experience. So each thought that you have is a bubble that arises, and it could be close to you or further away. So as you have a thought now, see the thought as though it were in a bubble. And then see if you can just let it float away. All of the parts of your experience are in this large space with you. So any emotions that you're having are there with you. Your relationships with the people you love, each of them perhaps in their own bubble. You can choose to gather those bubbles closer to you if that feels supportive. Be drawing in a family member or a dear friend, holding them close to you. The temperature, the weather in bubbles of their own. All of your life experiences, each in their own bubble. And the space is infinite, right? So we can populate it with as many things as there are. Now, there are so many bubbles because your experience is so vast, so infinite, that we can't see them all at once. It would be overwhelming to deal with them all at once. And at any given time, you might notice that you've drawn some of those bubbles closer to you. And you can also choose to let some of the bubbles float a little further away. Now see if you can notice if there are some bubbles that are nearby that feel like they're taking up a lot of space, or they're so close to you that they're almost crowding out your ability to see any of the other bubbles. Maybe a difficult situation that you're working with, or a painful memory, a strong emotion around something that you're dealing with, or something you think you may be dealing with. Go ahead and see that bubble. Give it a shape and a color and a size. You can notice, if you like, in your body how it feels to acknowledge that bubble, to give it shape. And then see if you can allow that bubble to drift a little further away, or even to push that bubble a little further away. How does it feel to move that bubble away from you, to push that bubble a little further out into space, into the infinite space. So it's still part of the experience. We're not ignoring it. We know it's there, but we're not giving it so much importance. If it's helpful, you might call on a bubble that gives you courage. Maybe you find a bubble and you name it courage or strength, and you draw that in closer. Or somebody that's important to you, whether it's somebody you know or somebody you admire from history. Find their bubble and pull it closer to you and see how that feels. Almost as though you could pull that strength into you. How does that feel in your body? If the difficult bubble is still feeling like, I can't really move it far away, it's still close, see where it is, and then see if you can start to breathe into the space between you and that bubble. And maybe imagine that the bubble could go a little further away. How would it feel if we could move the bubble as far away as the next state over? Or maybe the bubble moves off planet. Remember that the space we're dealing with is infinite, that you can move that bubble as far away as you like. How would that feel in your body? To get a little more space, to breathe, to be as you are without that bubble occupying so much. What else could you see then in the space around you? What good things are in the bubbles nearby? Maybe some food or experience that feels really nurturing. Maybe a pleasant memory. Maybe a plan for something really lovely that you can do for yourself. Remember, we can give these bubbles shapes and colors if we like. We can allow them to move in. We can invite them to drift away. And maybe we can even start to physically move those things a little further away, if that feels helpful. Pause for a moment or two and see what else you'd like to gather near to you. What feels helpful or resourceful or supportive. And if there are any bubbles nearby, if you have any thought, let's call it a negative thought, for lack of a better word right now. If anything like that bubbles up nearby, notice that you can be aware and let it start to move or drift a little further away. There's space around these things. There's space between these things. And they are not the only things that exist in your experience. Take a moment or two to rest and breathe here. Notice what images, thoughts, emotions, colors, experiences, memories arise for you. And we can choose to keep them close by or draw them in, or invite them to drift away. Now, in our last moments here, let's return to the sensations of the body. See what you feel in your body. Notice if there's any good or positive feeling. Where is that in your body? And can you start to increase it or deepen it? Take that in, soak that in, let that be a feeling you can carry with you. And when you feel ready, we can blink the eyes open, come back into our more active relationship with the waking world around us. So I hope this was helpful for you today. You can practice this yourself anytime. Sometimes our mind is incredibly powerful, and being able to visualize in this way can help us to notice that all of our experiences is changing all the time, it's transient, it's fleeting, and that we really do have infinite space and infinite resources available. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing how this worked for you and to being with you again soon. Be well.